Hello, this is Jim Malloy, Lexington Town Manager. And this is the fiscal year 21 recommended budget and financing plan. Report of the Town Manager to the annual town meeting. Under financial management, in 2019, the town staff reviewed and reaffirmed the following fiscal guidelines with the Select Board, Financial Committees, and School Committee. First, the set aside use of reserves, including the Capital Stabilization Fund, General Stabilization Fund, and other post-employment benefits. Second, use of a revenue allocation model and development of the town and school budgets. Third, the use of one-time revenues for one-time expenses and transitioning free cash out of the annual operating budget. We are in year 2 of 5 in the phase-out plan. The town previously was using $3.5 million per year to support its operating budget from its reserves, and we're transitioning $700,000 per year out over a 5-year period. And in fiscal year 21, we are anticipating utilizing $2.1 million of our reserves to support the operating budget. Fourth, to continue to utilize taxing to the full Proposition 2.5 levy limit. Fifth, to prioritize capital improvement projects and funding as much capital improvement programs with cash as possible instead of long-term debt, to recognize long-term savings through cost avoidance of interest costs. These are the general fund revenue sources. Property taxes remain the largest percentage of our overall revenue base. In fiscal year 21, it's projected to be $192.3 million, or approximately 81% of our total revenues. State aid at $16.5 million is approximately 7% of our total revenues. Total local receipts at about $14.3 million is 6% of our total revenues. And the use of available funds, just under $15 million, is approximately 6.3% of our total revenues. This chart shows our revenue growth from fiscal year 08 to fiscal year 21. In fiscal year 08, our total revenues were $129.7 million. And in fiscal year 21, they're anticipated to be $237.6 million. The line that goes through this chart is our percentage annual revenue growth. And you can see from fiscal year 09 until fiscal year 13, our revenue growth annually was approximately 5%. In fiscal year 14, our annual revenue growth was approximately 9.5%. And then from fiscal year 15 through fiscal year 18, it fluctuated between 3.5% and 7% per year, which provided additional revenues for the town to support the budget. In fiscal year 19 and 20, and anticipated in fiscal year 21, we are planning on about approximately a 3.5% revenue growth, which has resulted in some belt tightening this past fall when we put together the annual budget. The Select Board's budget priorities and principles are: first, to continue to move the construction of the police station project forward. Design will continue and be completed, and a construction recommendation is planned for the fall special town meeting, followed by a debt exclusion vote. Second, that pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicle safety on town roads is a priority. New sidewalks will be built in 2 locations. Existing sidewalk improvements will be undertaken, and as well as town-wide signalization improvements and surface street improvements. On the cemetery building reconstruction, the budget includes funding requests for construction of a new addition-ready building for cemetery offices and equipment. Fourth priority is under community mental health, the continuation of a cooperative program between the municipal and school departments, including a contract with the William James Interface. The fifth item is under transportation. We're planning on funding for a pilot program to improve transportation delivery services and additional hours for the transportation manager. The sixth item is under sustainability. We have full year funding for the sustainability director and $25,000 in seed funding for sustainability projects in the budget. And the last item is a facilities master plan, which is funding to develop a municipal facilities master plan to be combined with the school facilities master plan to better inform policymakers on future projects. This chart shows the general fund budget by cost center. The education budget, which includes both Lexington Public Schools and the Minuteman High School, is estimated to be going from $116 million to $121.2 million, which is approximately a $5.2 million increase, or 4.5%. That means that the total cost is going from about 53.5% of our overall budget to 53.7%, which is shown on the bar chart on the right-hand side. Under shared expenses, this is going from $60.5 million in the fiscal year 20 budget to $62.7 million in the fiscal year 21 budget, which is approximately a $2.2 million increase, or 3.6%. That's the orange bar in the bar chart, and that's going from 27.9% of the overall budget to 27.8% of the overall budget. Municipal departments are at $40.3 million in the fiscal year 20 budget, and they are going to approximately $41.6 million in the fiscal year 21 budget, which is a $1.3 million increase, and that accounts for 18.6% of the overall budget in fiscal year 20, and it's going down to 18.4% of the overall budget in fiscal year 21. This is a further breakdown of the municipal operating budget. As previously stated, at $121.2 million, the education department accounts for approximately 54% of the overall spending. Benefits at just under $38 million is approximately 17%. There's a benefits breakdown in the table to the left. Retirement accounts for $6.7 million of the overall benefits budget. Employee insurances are about $30.2 million. Unemployment is about $200,000, and workers' compensation is $875,000. The shared services include debt service at $10.5 million, or approximately 5% of our budget, and public facilities at $12.4 million, or about 5% of the budget. Those three items combined are the shared services budget for the town. The Public Works Department is approximately $10.8 million, or 5% of the budget. Law enforcement accounts for $8 million, or 4% of the budget. And fire protection is about $7.5 million, or 3% of the budget. And administration is about $7.2 million, or 3% of the budget. The library, human services, land use, and information technology account for the remainder 4% of the budget. Again, the overall fiscal year 21 recommended operating budget is $225,530,480. Under capital improvements and debt management, in fiscal year 21, capital improvements include the Westview Cemetery building at $3.3 million, pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicle safety at $3.8 million, a new roof at the Bridge Elementary School at $2 million, which we have applied for a grant through the MSBA, which would pay a portion of that, town and school technology at $1.9 million, and then debt management, we have appropriating $3.5 million from the Capital Stabilization Fund for exempt debt as anticipated during the override for the fire station, the Lexington Children's Place, and Hastings Elementary School. We do have COVID-19 financial implications for fiscal year 21 that we're accounting for. In discussions with the select board, town staff have recommended that we forego the following two items that were previously part of the fiscal year 21 budget financing plan. First, that we not transfer $1.77 million from free cash, the tax levy, into the Capital Stabilization Fund. And second, that we not transfer $1.2 million from free cash and from the water wastewater receipts to the OPEB fund. This will provide approximately $3 million in financial flexibility to provide options at the fall town meeting on how we best address any revenue shortfalls during this pandemic. This chart shows the overall reserve fund balances. You can see from this chart, goes from 2010 to 2019, fiscal year 2010 to fiscal year 2019. The Special Ed Stabilization Fund grew from approximately $710,000 to $1.1 million. General Stabilization Fund grew from $7.5 million to $9.8 million. The other post-employment benefits trust fund grew from $813,000 to $15,773,000. Capital Stabilization Fund, which did not exist in fiscal year 10 but started in fiscal year 13 at $1.6 million, has grown to $27.7 million for total reserve funds of $54,434,909. Under future considerations that we're aware of, the future capital needs include renovation or reconstruction of Lexington High School. Second, managing the increasing operating expenses to align with our revenue growth. Third, the impact of commercial development and relieving the residential tax burden. And lastly, maintaining the operating budget within the confines of Proposition 2.5 and not proposing operating overrides. That is the budget presentation, and I look forward to having these discussions and the town meeting. Thank you very much.